Good afternoon and greetings, Colorado Springs. Thank you for joining me for my May press briefing. 4 days ago, May 16, I actually celebrated my 1-year anniversary from the mayoral election. It's hard to believe that it's been a year already, and we've accomplished a lot in a year. And there's a lot that has transpired that year. And I'm proud to say that we've made significant progress in our 5 priority areas. And these are the areas of public safety, infrastructure, housing solutions, economic vitality, and addressing our community issues through community activation. To see a full list of our strategic doing priorities and also the progress that we've made, go to coloradosprings.gov/2024 strategic doing. I'm also proud to say that we are honoring our commitment to be a transparent, proactive, and approachable government. It really is an honor to do this work, and I'm grateful to our voters and our residents for the opportunity to serve. Okay, so fresh off the press, and I know our media partners have heard this already, but U.S. News & World Report released its best places to live rankings. That was released this morning. Actually, it was released late last night, and I'm proud to say that Colorado Springs is the number 3 best city to live in the U.S. And the number 1, that's a significant jump, as last year we were number 9. And we're the number 1 most desirable city to live in the U.S. This marks the 7th consecutive year that Colorado Springs has ranked in the top 10 best cities to live. And this year, we're one of only 2 Colorado cities to be in that ranking. And we are the top Colorado city to be in that ranking. So that is good news. And what being desirable means is that of all the cities in the country, Colorado Springs is where people want to live. Think about that. And we have an incredible responsibility to live up to that perception. It's no secret that the great work that we are doing is getting national attention. And this high marks can mean what this leads to is more future investments in our great city, as well as boost civic pride. And while we celebrate these wins and our collective efforts as a community that we can all be proud of, it's really important for me to say that our work is still not done. We must embrace the opportunity to continue working until all residents have their chance to experience our quality of life and to feel like this city is the best city for them to live. Which brings me to my focus of this press conference. And today is all about public safety. Public safety, public safety, public safety, and there are 3 public safety related updates that I want to share with our residents today. The first one, public safety appreciation. The month of May is Public Safety Appreciation Month, and last week was actually Law Enforcement Appreciation Week. I attended several events last week to honor our police officers and first responders. One of these events was at the Blue Mass at St. Mary's Cathedral. This is an event that is held every year to show appreciation to our law enforcement officers, our firefighters, and first responders. All public safety officers were welcome, and they actually each received a blessed coin, which was, I'm going to I get emotional whenever I talk about my officers. They received a blessed coin to honor them. And for the firefighters who are in attendance, they actually received a coin dedicated to our fallen officer, Bobby Keys, a longtime driver and engineer with the Colorado Springs Police Fire Department who passed away last October. It was incredibly moving to watch these coins being presented by the Bishop James Golka, and the feeling and the gratitude from the first responders and the family members who were present was incredible. So thank you to St. Mary's and to all those across our city who offered words of prayer, a smile, and simply just a friendly wave to our public safety officers last week. These things matter, and please keep doing it. And the reason why I get so emotional is because The mask served as a reminder of how important it is for our city to support our firefighters and our police officers. And as you know, recently with our firefighters, I joined City Council to support the fire department in the Heart, Cancer, and Behavioral Health Trust, and signing into that program to ensure that the families can receive, our firefighters and their families can receive the critical resources that they need when they need them the most. I also attended Friday's Peace Officer Memorial at Memorial Park. It was a very moving ceremony to honor our law enforcement officers and remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice, including 13 Colorado Springs police officers who have died in the line of duty. 2 fallen Colorado officers' names were added to the Peace Officers Memorial: Fountain Officer Julian Becerra and Colorado Parole Officer Christine Guerin Sandoval. These women and men who take the oath to serve and protect carry a heavy burden. The weight of their badge is heavy. The days are long, the trials are many, and we are incredibly grateful for their service and their sacrifice to serve and protect our community. I see their courage, I see their humility, and I see their love for the community. And my family and I stand with them to support them and to provide the training and the tools that they need to be successful in doing their work and keeping our community safe. Number 2, Police Training Academy update. Speaking of training, some good news is that we are nearly to the full authorized strength that we need to keep our community safe, thanks to the simultaneous academies that we are having this year. On May 2nd, we welcomed the 77th recruit class, which included 31 new officers to join our department. And yesterday was the first day of the 79th recruiting class, which has 33 recruits. And this will put us at about 798, almost 800 sworn officers, just 20 shy of our goal of authorized strength of 819. So we expect to be at full authorized strength by the end of this year or early next year. That's a big deal, and that will make a difference with our response time. My many thanks to these recruits and their families and our training staff. We are getting closer and closer and closer. Perhaps you're wondering about the status of the Police Training Academy. And we are continuing to work to find the best solutions for our officers and our community. The needs assessment is complete, and Chief Vasquez will be meeting, my police chief, Chief Vasquez, will be meeting out with our city council members this summer to release the results of this needs assessment. This is important because this needs assessment tells us what we need in this new training academy, at least at the minimum, to be successful. As we learn and grow, and as we look to other examples across the country, we're also exploring the idea of this new center to be more than just an academy, but a true legacy project. Think of like a Center for Public Safety Excellence. The possibilities around this are really exciting, and I'm hoping that we can actually have more to share with you soon. In the meantime, I'd like to thank my Deputy Chief of Staff, Ryan Trujillo, who's here, and the many leaders who have served on that solutions team. Your input has been very valuable. Number 3, EMS transport. Another exciting project we are working on is really to reimagine the city's ambulance service. This is important to me and top of mind for me and my team and many of our residents. A week ago from yesterday, we actually presented to City Council a proposal to establish a fire-based emergency medical service enterprise. The key word is enterprise. It's key because it will ensure that your general fund, your tax dollars are protected. Since last Monday, we have launched a new public webpage with additional information, and we are hosting additional stakeholder meetings to ensure that we are still increasing that transparency and educating our community members on the benefits of this decision. My thanks to the many leaders who are working on these efforts and who have helped us to build the best possible solution for our community. We have actually incorporated the many feedback we're receiving from the community to make sure we take a really great product and just make it excellent. And this includes some of the adjustments to the financial modeling that we've received from the city auditor, and we are confident that we have the best product and the best financial stability for this new enterprise. I also want to thank many of our key supporters, including the El Pomar Foundation, Pikes Peak Community Foundation, the Police Protective Association, Local 5, and the list goes on, and many individual stakeholders as well. To refresh your memory, why are we doing this? Number one, according to City Code, ambulance transport is a function of your local government. Number two, AMR has struggled to meet our standard response time, and this has been an ongoing concern for our city. And number three, the public safety landscape and public safety demands of the 21st century has changed, addressing the frequent use of the 911 system, providing assistance to our most vulnerable homeless residents, and attending to residents with behavioral health needs are now top priorities in our community. Our fire department is not only capable of providing emergency medical service, we believe this new enterprise would do three things. One, improve our response time because every second and every minute matters to our families in our community. Number two, it will lower costs to our ambulance users. And number three, as you've heard me mention, it will allow us to provide this innovative care and expand our nationally recognized behavioral and community health programs. Establishing this enterprise requires a majority of vote from City Council, and they are expected to make that first vote on June 10. To all those asking, we've been getting a lot of people asking, how can we support this? Write to your council members and give them a call. And by the way, thank you for engaging with your city. I'd also like to thank our local media partners for your work to tell this story. It can be complicated, it can be very complex. There are a lot of nuances to this opportunity, so thank you for your due diligence and helping to tell the larger story. So earlier I talked about a few recognitions that I mentioned that May is Police Appreciation Month. It just also happens that May, this week especially, is National Public Works Week. So I want to give a shout out to our hardworking and dedicated public works team members who keep our city moving forward. From our snow plow truck drivers to our public servants who fill potholes, to our 2C road improvement and stormwater and the Keep It Clean COS team members, thank you for your work. May is also Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is our ongoing efforts to reduce misconceptions about mental health and encourage our residents to take charge of their own mental well-being. I do want to give a big shout out to my wife, your First Lady Abby, for serving as a champion of this important work, and the many community partners in our community at the front lines of promoting our individual and collective mental well-being. And two more recognitions. May is a very busy month, as you can tell. May is also National Foster Care Month. My wife and I started with foster care, and then we moved into the world of adoption. We're both parents of an adopted kid, and May is also Older Americans Month. So we are recognizing the many contributions of foster parents in this city and organizations who provide rescue to children in harmful situations, and we are also recognizing the contributions of many older Americans and the many partners who serve our older adults in our community. So at this point, I'd like to move to some of your questions, and I have some of my team members here to answer, to give you more specific details depending on the nature of your question. Who would like to go first? Bree beat you all to it.
You mentioned the needs assessment would be released this summer. Do you have a more specific date or an estimated date?
I'm looking. Do we have a date when we're presented to council yet? Okay, let me get that. I'll get that back to you. That's important for you to know. Yes, sir.
We're number 3 in the best place to live. What do we got to do to be number 1?
You know, this morning I woke up and I sent the mayor of Boise, Idaho, a text to tell her congratulations because they're number 2, and her son actually goes to Colorado College. And I said, we're coming for you next year because I want to be number 1. I'm not happy with number 3. To be number 1 truly is look into the work that we're doing. Our strategic plan coming out in the next month, strategic doing items. If we keep making progress on many of these initiatives, from our 1,000 neighborhood gatherings to combat mental health, to my hope is our residents will say yes on renewing 2C without raising taxes, to opportunities like the EMS transport, so that we can actually get ahead and be proactive on some of the issues around homelessness and behavioral health care. That's what it takes to be number one. And finally, when you look at, I don't know how much you guys have looked at those categories, but affordability is an important one to me. And this is why housing is still at the top of my mind and one of our big needs in the community, because we have to ensure that we are able to provide those jobs for our residents to be able to live here, as well as ensure that we are working to reduce the cost of housing and also make more housing options for our residents. That's what it takes to be number one. Yes, sir.
I have some questions on the EMS enterprise. It's about $11 million startup cost. I know the city can't, because it's an enterprise fund. The city
Right.
can't touch that. Is that a concern at all, the $11 million startup?
Not at all. I mean, we're looking at it's actually between a 3 to 4 million true startup, because with some of the ambulance and equipment we need, a lot of that would be leased to purchase. In terms of startup cost, I'm not worried about that. In 2019, by the way, the city was a leading proposal for taking over its own emergency enterprise. But at the time, because of issue 300, we were not able to fund it. Exactly what you've mentioned, some of the boundaries around how we can use the city general fund to start up a new enterprise, a new business, which I'm in favor of, like many of our libertarian community members. So in the absence of that, we've had many of our nonprofit foundations step up to say, we will give you money, we will loan you money, as well as give you some grant money to start this initiative. And I'm not the only one that sees this opportunity. These foundations see this opportunity. So they've stepped up to say, let us help you, because we know issue 300 is restrictive.
And these foundations, specifically, can you name them? I know you mentioned El Pomar, Craig Speak. How much are they contributing? And I know it's a loan. What's the interest rate?
Right.
What's the time period to pay that off?
And we'll get you all that information. Those are a great question. I can tell you that one of the benefits of actually having a foundation, one of the pluses is that it's a very low interest PRI. We're looking between 2 to 3%, which is another great benefit compared to if the city, we took on this loan by other means. So they're making it work for us. And the best part is that they're also saying part of our money also can be in the form of grants. Not everything has to be to be paid back with interest. Believe me, I'm working that. When they say, here's X amount we want to give you in grants, I'm like, can we up that a little bit more so that we can actually have more grants than loans? And so I'm really proud of their support, and they're also talking amongst each other. And let me tell you one of the things. Many of these foundations are led by incredible leaders in our community, and their board. Some of them are board members, have financial expertise, and they're CPAs themselves. So they've done their own homework, and they see the opportunity as my fire department and I see. And I'm thankful for their support.
And those loans will be paid off
For 5 years.
through the revenue made from the enterprise fund?
Absolutely. And we believe because the wisdom, like when you start every new business, you want to be as conservative as possible. So we've inflated our expenses, we've reduced the revenue. So there's room. There's also an opportunity to go after some federal grants through the state to the tune of potentially $6 million that are only available to public sector ambulance functions. And so we actually anticipate being able to pay that sooner, but really, truly, we have to plan for the worst case scenario. And that right now we're looking at 5 years.
One more question. I know in the council meeting last week, AMR kind of said that the numbers regarding the cost of the transport, the reimbursement rates, the numbers presented by Congress from Fire Department were overinflated. What do you have to say?
Yeah, that's and here's what I like to say: the 500,000 people that I serve have access to my numbers. I'm still waiting for access to AMR's numbers. It's easy to go up in the dais and make a claim of that nature without bringing your numbers to the table. The city is one of the things I'm most proud of. I'll tell you about one of the leaders that has said yes, and I think he spoke at the chambers on at that Monday too, is a leader by the name of Barry Baum, former CEO of Western Forge, a citizen auditor, has been around since before Mayor Steve Bach. He said in 2019 he actually voted no against it. And when I asked him, I said, Barry, you said no in 2019, yet this year you're saying yes. He said, you know what's different this time around? Even though the city pursued an RFP, he goes, it was a closed process. I didn't have access to the numbers. He goes, Mayor, you've given me access to the numbers. I have assessed all the short-term risks, the long-term risks. I have done everything I need to do, and this thing comes out favorable to our city. And so in response to AMR's number, to me, that's a statement. But we're happy to show you the work and every step of the way how we have come to these very conservative numbers with the input of so many leaders like Barry Baum in this community who have done the work. So yes, of course, I'm very confident. I understand over the next month, AMR is going to make a number of statements. And frankly, I feel like it's desperation. I do feel like we have an attractive market. I think they're a good business company. I'm a business guy. I'm a capitalist. I don't see anything wrong with that. So they're smart enough to know that we don't want to lose this opportunity that we have in Colorado Springs. Doesn't make them bad, but we're in it for different reasons. I am in it to maximize service for our residents. They're in it to maximize profit for their shareholders. So different motivations. So I expect them to fight to the end because they know how attractive this opportunity is for them.
So going back to, just to clarify, $3 to $4 million is the estimated startup cost.
Yes.
Is that largely or entirely coming from grants and loans? Because there's a difference.
Yes.
Largely or majority? Like
Entirely.
Mainly or entirely?
Entirely.
100%?
Yeah, because we cannot use any of the city assets to start this up.
Okay.
So yes, so it's coming from.
Are any of those loans or grants already secured or no?
We have commitments, but they're not secured until, in terms of getting that in writing, that would be the next step after the ordinance gets passed. So many of these, so the way these decisions are made, keep in mind many of these foundations have a board of directors. So the ones that have stepped up have had to check in with the board, and there was a vote that was made.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you know what loans and grants you're going to go after? You just need that next step to happen, basically?
Yes. And we anticipate once the yes comes in June, we actually anticipate potentially even more opportunity. I would do my best to make sure I can get more grants than loans, because at the end of the day, it benefits the new business.
How does the city plan to recruit and retain EMTs and paramedics? There's a national challenge to get first responders in general.
Right.
Having to hire city-employed paramedics and EMTs sounds like a big undertaking.
Yeah, as my deputy chief of fire comes up, Jamie, I do want to like to mention before she answers that just kind of the word on the street from many of those EMTs that work for private ambulance, they're excited to come to the city. So there's good excitement and energy around that. So I don't see that potentially being an issue, but I'll let Jamie speak more into that.
Yeah, I would say, hi, Jamie McConnellag. I would say that while there may be a national shortage, there's a local surplus, and those are the folks that are working for AMR right now. There's also the paramedics and EMTs that work in our hospital systems, all those along the Front Range, those that have an interest in becoming firefighters. So actually, we're not concerned. We're actually very excited to have an opportunity to offer a career to the paramedics and EMTs that are right here in our system right now.
What will be different between, I guess, the fire department and AMR? Why is the fire department, this enterprise, so more attractive?
Let me say this before Jamie gives some further remarks. One of the things that we've learned that has actually affected quality of service is a turnover with many of these private ambulance companies. I believe the average in terms of attrition is what, a year and a half to 2 years, and so different than being here with the city of Colorado Springs. So better stability, a little bit better pay, and I think that we see the benefits with improved services as well.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that really quickly because this is an important piece of it. When you're joining the fire department, you're joining a career, as with our sworn 20 to 30-year career. For example, we have a sworn paramedic that's retiring in July. He's been a paramedic for 30 years. When you think about AMR and any private ambulance company, their contract's going to end in some period of time. So for us locally, it's every 5 years that contract's up again. So all of those employees, their jobs are at risk. So that's part of why we know we can really appeal to people with a career.
So to clarify, the city already has a plan. You intend to hire AMR's current workers that are already here?
Yes.
Does AMR know that? Because from their standpoint, I don't know this, and I'm not speaking for them, but that could be viewed as poaching their workers.
Well, if you think about a stop and a start,
Right.
like it's not poaching from them now, it would be starting with them in the future after AMR doesn't have that opportunity anymore.
What estimated number of paramedics or EMTs are we talking about?
Around 140.
What about acquiring ambulance units? Would you buy up AMR's stock of what they have here?
No, we would not. We'll be ordering all of our own new ambulances and equipment.
Would AMR continue to be a secondary provider with some presence in the city? Say all of CSFD's ambulances are used, and an AMR ambulance, are they still going to be around at all?
That's a question for them to answer. I believe that they would be because there's other opportunities in our community
Right.
that are not in our lane of public safety, which would be interfacility transfers and some of those other opportunities for private ambulance.
I saw it has been mentioned that this could result in lower cost of ambulance services for the patients. Can you explain how that is?
Absolutely. Do you want me to? Okay. So, if you think very simply just about duplication of resources, okay? For example, we are the city and we have all of our resources that provide what we need to be able to respond. AMR has the same resources, right? So it's a duplication. We have a dispatch, they have a dispatch. We have human resources, they have human resources. And also I would add that we don't have to make a profit. So any additional dollars that could be profit for a private company will stay right here in our community and be part of our reserve for our enterprise. So those are some of the biggest ones. And then also just the efficiency of being able to deploy all resources in our community relative to any type of emergency response.
We talk a lot about public safety, reaching that coveted number 3 spot as well. A lot of that has to do with how safe people feel in Colorado
Right.
Springs. What would you say about closing some of the gaps within public safety within the city to really get us that ranking and potentially go higher in the future?
That's a great question. Thank you for that one. This really ties into the EMS ambulance opportunity in front of us. I said earlier, I mentioned earlier that the public safety needs and landscape have changed. We're now in the medical business. 80% of our calls are medical. We're now in the behavioral health business. Hence, you see why there's investments in our fire department's community and public health department with functions like the homeless outreach program, who are a team of public servants who actually work with our most vulnerable population because nobody else is working with them. And we have to prioritize those opportunities because that allows our community to feel safe. We have to ensure that we're cleaning up encampments and providing our homeless residents with the next step, with opportunities. We have to ensure that we're keeping our city clean. So you're right that public perception is everything. How people, when they drive around, how they feel, the general sentiment, whether they feel safe. EMS really provides the opportunity for us to get ahead of it. Because right now, as with most things, how do you fund it? I love my libertarian community, and we're physically conservative, and we have to be creative in terms of how we pay for the many services that we need. So this opportunity with EMS not only allows us to save money, we don't have to deploy an engine and an ambulance for every single call anymore, and the money saved can actually to be reinvested into other 911 and public safety priorities. And so those are things we'll expect us to continue to work on. This is about staying up to speed and being innovative. And frankly, and I often say that when it comes to the ambulance transport opportunities, I wish we were number one in the city, but we're not. We're actually, when it comes to the top 100 or top 50, top 40, Pikes Peak region, whichever environment you scan, we're actually one of the last. And so I want to make sure that we're also being the best version of ourselves.
And talking a lot about some of this public safety, I know that you spoke with us with our forum at the Citadel Mall back in March about some of these issues with public safety and crime related.
Right.
I know that you'd spoken with the nonprofit Men of Influence as well as Mitchell High School. I was wondering if the city's made any progress with reaching out to those organizations.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, you hear me talk about the need to get to authorized strength, the need to support our officers, the need to have that new training academy and that center for excellence that would hopefully in the future we're talking like behavioral health and other opportunities. Those are downstream solutions. A lot of our community partners, and you've mentioned a couple of them, Forge Evolution, and the list goes on and on. Those are all the upstream solutions because at some point we have to make sure we're dealing with the issues upstream to ensure that we are preventing crime, we're providing economic opportunities so that people don't have to choose crime in the first place. So partnership with these nonprofits are top of mind because that's just not our lane. That's not government's lane, but we need our community activation. We need our community members to step up and also assist with that. So expect that just about everything you're going to hear me say during my time as mayor is going to be downstream and upstream. It's both. Same thing with homelessness. You know, we provide shelter, we provide beds, we provide food, we provide work. But at the same time, we got to also ensure that we are providing that stopgap, whether it's housing needs, whether it's mental health needs, so that people are not homeless in the first place. So downstream, upstream, downstream, upstream, downstream, upstream. Yes.
This might be for Jamie, I'm not sure, but I think it might be. Do you view this transition from AMR to city a sort of phasing out process of AMR and phasing in CSFD that will take days, weeks, possibly months? Or will it be, I doubt it, but a flip of a switch and all of a sudden tomorrow CSFD is showing up and not AMR?
Well, I can tell you that we're preparing for the flip of a switch because that's important. What we'd like to do is work collaboratively with AMR to figure out what that transition looks like. Without that, we have a very detailed implementation plan about how we're going to hold career fairs and onboarding and all of the things that we need to do to get the workforce ready for the day that they go live. Keeping in mind that a lot of AMR's current staff is already operating under our medical direction. So that makes that stop-start really easy with those folks, but we do recognize that we're going to most likely have other employees as well that are going to need additional training and onboarding time, and that's all built into our plan.
Okay, but from your guys' end, there will be a so-called flip of the switch day.
There absolutely will be because the contract ends on April 1st of 2025.
Okay, and if I heard you right, 5 years out still probably for that? Like from now?
No,
How long
go
will it-
live is April 1st of 2025.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Changing gears.
Okay.
What's your stance on building taller buildings downtown?
Oh.
And I got like 3 parts to that.
That's I believe I've answered that one a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. My research, there's a form-based code. I think there's a process in 2006. I believe Mayor Lionel Rivera was mayor at the time, and there was a robust community engagement process. It engaged a number of leaders, and that whole process led to this very small footprint. I believe it's less than half of a percent, 1% of the entire city's footprint. So it's a very small area, tiny area that was allowed, that was permitted to have the building height. So I am for democracy. I am for a process. I do believe the builders are doing things according to the process. I also do empathize with where residents are coming from in terms of ensuring that we maintain that quality of life. And if that needs to be changed, there's a democratic process that we need to go through to get that on the ballot and have that change.
So with that, should height limits be a vote of the people instead? Why or why not?
Yeah, that's like the current height limits that we do have, as that process was a process by the people. I do believe any kind of restrictions need to be a process by the people as well.
then how high is too high, in your opinion? Like there's a 30-some foot story, 35-story building.
All the way to heaven? Is that too high? The Tower of Babel? I don't know the answer to it, but like I said, there's a lot of this on both sides. There's support, there's against, and it needs to be a process of the people at the end of the day. Yeah.
What kind of economic benefits would high-rise buildings bring to the Springs?
I don't know. I believe that you would have to check in with our downtown partnership folks. I do know, like most projects, whether it's a high rise, it's not as high. Projects ultimately benefit the city, just in general. I mean, you look at in the downtown area, the new hotels, the new businesses. So I guess the point I'm making is it's less about the height and more of my desire to just see more investments in the city of Colorado Springs. And I do believe this project potentially has the impact of that. But at the end of the day, that we got here by a process of the people, and any change needs to be a process of the people. I've heard from the people, and I don't want to abuse my authority as mayor to single-handedly enter a project. It's just not the way. Not only our local democracy was formed, but our national democracy was always a government that was going to be processed by the people.
And then another one I have is something totally different. This, I'll say the last 2 weeks or so, I don't know the exact numbers, it's been a deadly time here in the Springs.
Right.
At least, I would say 4 homicides, I could be wrong on that,
No.
maybe more. What do we do? What's the opinion, what's the feeling, what are we doing about that?
Yeah, it's interesting you brought this one up. Please know that this one is on the top of my mind. Last year we saw a decline, and now we're seeing similar numbers like we have seen in I believe in 2022. And so we're getting close. We're not quite there. We're getting close to 2022 numbers. It's not okay with me. I've actually asked my chief of police and my chief of staff, Yemi, as well, and I've reached out to the DA, Michael Allen, as well, to have a meeting to be able to understand and look at the data around some of these most recent homicide. Are there trends that we can see, and how do we begin again? Upstream solution. I'm proud of the way my officers have responded to every single calls, and we'll continue to ensure that we're making more investments in that as a city to increase our response time. But yet at the same time, it's important for me to go upstream to see what are the reasons we're seeing an increase once again.
I hate to end on a pessimistic question, but say this vote happens, or the council may approve this EMS enterprise. In a couple years from now, it doesn't work out. Response times haven't improved, things like that. What happens?
Not even sure I want to entertain that question because it's going to work out. And here's a couple of reasons why I truly believe it'll work out. One, I've already mentioned, we're not new to this. We have a lot to learn from Grand Junction, who did this in 2006. We have a lot to learn from Boulder, who did this in whether 2020 or 2022. This is not some new initiative. So that's one. We can learn from others. The Manitou, for example, the Manitou fire chief came to the dais and spoke and said, it's successful, but the first 6 months, they had some challenges with bill collection. So guess what? We get to learn from what happened in that 6 months. So we get to do it better. Number two, I'm confident in our ability to run our own municipally run businesses. I mean, we have Colorado Springs Airport. We have the Colorado Springs Utilities. We have Stormwater Enterprise, our most recent enterprises. So we have a history of successful enterprises. So we're also learning from ourselves, and all those enterprise directors are giving us tips. Rich Mulady, in one of our meetings here in this room, we brought this up, and he went, "Oh, when we did stormwater, we did X, Y, Z, and we did it. So we believe we can do this too." So we have so much expertise that allows this project to be successful. Worst case scenario, this thing doesn't work, which I do not believe it's the case. I do believe the wisdom is we're just back to where we are at today, which still puts us in a vulnerable place. because there's an extra strategy for every ambulance service. Make no mistake about it. It's in our contract that if this doesn't work out for them, they could leave. And that leaves me in a vulnerable place. So we could always go back to leaving ourselves in a vulnerable place, which is not what I want for my city and for my residents. Thank you for that question. Thank you all. Appreciate your time.